The other big story of the day, of course, has been this High Court ruling on fluoride in the water. In a nutshell, they've said councils have the right to add it to the water supply because it does not constitute a mass medication. Councils all over the country, you'll be aware of this, have tied themselves in knots, perhaps none more so than the Hamilton City Council. Now, Dr. Stan Litras is a dentist who has studied this and has in fact been on both sides, the for and against, and he is with us. Good evening to you.
Hello, Mike.
This disappointing for you?
Disappointing. I think it was to be expected, really. I think, with all due respect, the judges made the wrong decision, but I'm sure there'll be an appeal.
And if there is an appeal and it's lost, does that settle it once and for all? I mean, people like you might well go around saying, look, you still don't want it, but a court sorts it, doesn't it?
I think the fact that the science is not in favour of water fluoridation means that water fluoridation is going to end sometime soon, hopefully.
But how can that happen when the court hasn't ruled that way? And a council might want to put it in, and they're legally entitled to.
Well, the people who are opposed to fluoridation and believe that it isn't effective and that it may cause harm will continue to try and give that information out to the public.
And so what are you saying? That people pressure will then go on councils to change their minds if they put it in the water?
Well, at some level, someone is going to have to stand up and look at the facts and decide that it isn't a good policy.
But isn't that what the court case was? The court case looked at the facts and they decided it's not mass medication and it is legal, and there's your ruling.
Actually, the court case was about legal issues, human rights. It wasn't about the science.
OK. Do you think the science will have to get to court one day?
Yes, there were affidavits presented to the judge, but I'm not a lawyer, but the case was not ruled on those grounds. And whether it's mass medication or not is debatable. And many countries think that it is. New Zealand thinks it isn't.
The rights and wrongs of the case, should this be done by councils and referenda and things like that? I mean, shouldn't we have a national policy? I mean, isn't this serious enough for the government to actually make a few decisions around this and you can argue your case there?
I think that's very difficult for political parties because they don't want to they know it's a polarising issue. They don't want to lose votes on that. At the moment, less than 50% of New Zealand is fluoridated. If you make it mandatory across the country, there'll be a few people who are upset at having to drink it, particularly when the decay rates are not any higher than places which are fluoridated.
Do you think it's one of the problems, though, because this court case today will give councils the green light and they might have been sitting there waiting for it and go, right, legal, we're in?
I think they should probably bide their time a little bit longer and see what happens with the appeal, and also with new science that's coming on board, such as that which shows reduction in children's IQ from Harvard, which was reported in the Lancet a couple of weeks ago. They should look at what's going to happen in Ireland, where their main political party has announced that they will cease mandatory fluoridation on health concern grounds. I think they can't just really jump into it. They might regret it.
All right, Stan, appreciate your time very much. Stan Litras,
Thank you.
Dentist, pleasure.